me, Topher. I hope you are well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And thank you so much if you are a returning subscriber for turning up here. And if you are my TikTok followers or any of my subscribers, you guys know I love you so much. So we are finally here, you guys. I am officially recording this video as part of my 10-year anniversary as a digital artist. It has been 10 years since I created my original characters, 10 years since I first downloaded Daz Studio, and 10 years of teaching myself everything that I know about character creation, about scene setup, about creation of props, environments, not to mention things like rendering, texturing, subsurfacing, aside from that post working and Photoshop, and there have been so many things that I've learned from this that I didn't even realize I was going to learn, and now they're just part of my everyday life, of my everyday art process, and I'm just so happy. I cannot believe we're here. So there's going to be a few videos coming up in the next couple of weeks, you guys. In this one I'm just going to be talking mostly about just my journey as an artist, sort of timeline kind of thing. How I felt then versus how I feel now. We will have a look at a few images and things like that. I have a lot to show you guys, of course. Also, I would like to talk to you guys about Topher and Marius as well, teaching you guys about who they are and how I created them, how they have impacted my life, how I've been able to manifest through them, and how I have literally just become the character that I created 10 years ago, right? Wow, that's so weird. How did that happen? But I will be doing separate videos on things like my top 10 favourite pieces of art, my top 10 least favourite pieces of art. I thought that might be fun. Maybe I'll do that all in one video. I'm also going to talk about how I got into this as well, you guys, because it's a very important story that I feel like a lot of people need to know. It's a silly story. It's very, very casual. It's not anything dark or heavy or anything like that. But it's important because I understand now how my life has changed because of where this all started. And where this all started was nothing to do with art. It was nothing to do with story writing. It was nothing to do with anything that I do today. But somehow I ended up here because of it. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there, most people, who just don't realize the tiniest simple act that you want to take could change the course of your entire future in ways that are just completely imperceptible to you right now. So that's going to be a whole separate video as well. So first of all, let's explain what kind of artist I am. So I am technically a digital artist. I do feel like that is an umbrella term because obviously digital art is lots of different kinds of things. It can be photography, you can be, you know, an animator of cartoons or something like that. Even digital art can be things like calligraphy and stuff. It's really anything that you're doing digitally. Now, the kind of digital art that I do, I would refer to as video game art. That's the simplest way I can put it to people who don't know what I say if I was to say rendering, character creation, 3D, etc. It's the same kind of workflow that you would get with creating video game characters or scenery or props and things like that. Same with animation. Also as well in 3D animation, like the Minions or Toy Story or anything that is 3D generated like that. Even things going so far as movies like Beowulf, and obviously CGI is a hugely 3D animation and stuff. Now, I am not a professional 3D modeler. That's one thing I am not. So you could not give me a digital box or a digital lump of clay and I would be able to make a human out of that, okay? Woo! But one thing that's great about using Daz Studio is you get presets. So a lot of what you will get are characters that maybe other people have created, or even just a base character, which is just a human being, male or female, or androgynous, and I start from there. Because I'm not like that, you guys. I can't do, no. So how did this journey begin? Basically, I was a huge nerd, you guys. I still am very much a huge nerd. You see my Transformers, you see my Lord of the Rings. Oh look, here's another Transformers, and here is Star Trek, here is Pirates of the Caribbean, here is Jack Skellington, here is another Star Trek. Oh look at that, there's a leaf of Lorien, more Lord of the Rings. And up here, that's my Star Trek door opener, so when you open a door, it literally goes whoosh, whoosh. I'm such a nerd. So what did I love? I love fan fiction. I love to write myself into the story. Literally just kind of living my fantasy through story. Side note, it was a means of escape from reality, because I was not having the bestest of times and stuff and blah, 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 right? Now, that's going to be a whole story for another day and stuff. But I did just want to make it clear, you guys, this isn't all just necessarily rainbows and unicorns. Obviously, the story I'm telling now is pretty cool, right? But I will say, I was writing fan fictions as a means for escaping my reality and stuff. And it really did help me. Which is why now I'm a huge advocate of actually fiction can become reality. If you create the fiction first, you apply it and adapt to it, it becomes your reality. Oh, look at that. That's my reality. That's weird. Oh, that's so weird. Anyway, so I loved writing stories, especially fan fictions. And after a long period of time and several other things that were very important and key to the story, which we will discuss in another video, I ended up writing an original story. Sort of 2011, 2012, something like that. And I was loving it. It was amazing. I had always been Topher. I'd been Topher since 2007. So that was already established, that was who I was, that was my chosen name. My family know me as Georgia. It doesn't matter what you call me. I have no preference. It's not this huge important thing that everybody else conform to it. I just knew that I was Topher. That was who I am. Regardless of how everybody else sees me, that is who I put out, right? So Topher had already been established. I was already writing myself / her into many fanfics. And as I got around to writing my original story, it kind of became necessary then to create my own characters elsewhere as well. It wasn't just about Topher being inserted into Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or whatever it happened to be that I was in love with. So many things. It was going to be these other people too. I needed an antagonist, like the bad guy. I needed comic relief or side characters. And then, you know, just because that's the way life works and that's the way most stories work, I kind of also needed a love interest, or at least a sort of best friend love interest kind of thing or whatever, right? So I created my characters, which kind of took a long time. We ended up with Marius, as well as a bunch of other characters. Abdul, my best friend, definitely has his own character called Okala. And he is the comic relief, of course he is. So much fun, so much fun. But most importantly, it was Marius. And then all of a sudden, Topher and Marius existed. Back at the time, when I was writing about Topher, she was very closed off. She was so antagonistic, almost like she was the bad guy. She was just, I don't want a partner, I don't want to work with anybody, I work by myself, I don't give a crap if you like what I'm doing or not. Just completely reckless almost, right? Which I've never really been reckless, but it was this projection of myself that I so desperately wanted to be. Like this version of me that was allowed to say no, this version of me that was allowed to buck against the system, like literally, not just metaphorically in my fictional writing, or I don't know, by refusing to wear dresses or pink or wear makeup or something like that. That was how I used to try and buck against the system in my literal life. But in my story, writing as Topher, like my avatar, let's call it. I'm so sorry, my nose is so bad, you guys. You know how bad my nose gets. Literally, my whole face is itching so bad right now. I shouldn't have put makeup on. Why did I do that? Damn you, YouTube. You made me do this because I'm going on the internet. And then it made me think, oh, you have to put on makeup. Why did I do that? So writing as my avatar, let's call it, as Topher inside the fictional world, I could go levels further than that. So she still wouldn't wear a dress. She still refused to wear pink. She didn't give no craps about makeup. We ain't doing no nails. We don't even paint our nails. No, I can't believe I just said we like we're a collective, but we are. Accept it. Topher and Topher. Say, look, there's Topher, this is Topher. Topher, okay? You guys just gotta start getting used to that. But she ended up being the version of me that could rebel as much as I felt like I needed to rebel. But because of what I'd been taught, because of how it happened, because of the life and my childhood and all of these different kinds of things, I ended up at the point of feeling like this was a way that I could truly rebel in the way that I wanted to in my real 3D life, right? I do not even distinguish anymore between the three, because we live in a 3D world, you guys, but I'm a 3D artist. Oh, those are the same. Oh my gosh, those are the same. I didn't really think too much back then about how the story was my subconscious and conscious projection of what I so badly desired, right? But looking back, I can see now how I was angry. I was hurt. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say no to everything and everyone. I just wanted to say no to everything I wanted to say no to. And I was at a point in my, had spent the entirety of my life never able to say no. So after creating Topher and Marius, or at least the original story with these two, that's how I kind of came into the idea of Filara, which is what my YouTube channel is called now. It's what my whole spiritual dealie is called. It's called The World of Filara, or filaraspirit is the sort of spiritual aspect. I do also have Filara 3D, which is my digital art sector, right? But it's starting to all come under the banner of the world of Filara, right? Which again is blowing my mind, because when I started writing this book, when I started writing this story, I felt like it was so cheesy trying to title my book as if it was an actual book. I was like in imposter syndrome, just talking to myself like, why are you titling your book like this? Who the do you think you are? Who do you think you are that you could title your book as if it's a real book? And I felt like somebody was sat right in front of me, judging me as I was trying to find the right word, right? And as eventually I got to Filara, and I was writing it down, the book of Filara, or is it just Filara, book 1, book 2, book 3? And I was just so mean to myself. I felt like I was an idiot. I felt like the whole world was sitting there watching me, laughing, going, oh my God, I cannot believe she's titling her book as if it's a real book. She's just written a stupid little story. God, I was so mean to myself. So mean to myself. Do you know what? I'm so glad I didn't listen. I am so glad I didn't listen. That was where I was truly rebellious. That was where the real Topher was. Not in refusing to wear pink or dresses. Who gives a crap about wearing makeup and painting your nails? I like it now. I don't do it very often, like 1% of the time, but I only do it now when I want to do it, and who gives a crap if I want to do it? It doesn't mean that I am something just by wanting to wear makeup, pink, dresses, paint my nails, blah, blah, blah. The real rebellion came in me ignoring that voice in my head that was telling me, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Just stop, right? This is not going to go anywhere. Here we are, 10 years later. 10 years later. So after creating the original story, and I felt like it was enough done, I got this urge to illustrate. I wanted to see my characters in front of me, right? Now, Topher was fairly easy because she's just me anyway. Now, I can artistify her. That's probably not a word, but I can artistify her, you know, make her a bit more shapely, sort of give her the butt or whatever, or certain physical things that, not that I wish that I had, but that I just feel like I would be if I was a game character, or if I was in a movie or something like that, you know. And a lot of hair. That was one of the things, was a lot, because I got a lot of hair. You can't really see it up here right now when it's on here, but those of you who know me, you know I got a lot. Do you know what I mean? She's not my twin. She's not identical to me, but she's just this artistic representation. She's my avatar. But Marius was a little bit more difficult. His personality, his mannerisms, his internal character, I kind of knew straight away. More importantly, it was certain characters that came to mind as I was creating Marius. And to be honest with you, the two standout characters was Sherlock Holmes and Skullduggery Pleasant. Skullduggery Pleasant being pretty much Sherlock Holmes. And it's so weird to me now, because now I think about Marius, you know, I would write him today, I could sit here and write a whole chapter about them or whatever, and he's not Sherlock Holmes, he's not that anymore. But in the beginning it was, because that's what you know, you're just kind of like writing like a child, you're living out your, essentially what is your fantasy, you know. I mean, the two of them have just grown and evolved over the last 10 years as if they were real people. Literally, as if they were real people. Like how they've grown in my mind, the certain things that they have gone through as I've written them, put them in certain situations, and then as I have grown and been through what I've been through in my life, I would not be able to write Topher the same anymore. Or like, and rebellious, and because she's just not like that. She's weird, and she's kooky, and she loves to eat gummy sweets, and she's just singing her head off all the time, because she is just me. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. So as I started wanting to illustrate more, I didn't even think, of course, of digital art. I didn't even think of art up until this point, you guys. I hated art at school. I was never an artistic, like, I I was never a drawing artist. I was always a writing artist. I was a poet. I had a published poem, literally, in a book, an anthology book, when I was 14 years old. I won poetry awards and bursaries for my writing. Even things like languages. I got all the top awards when I was at school for my French and my Spanish, because it was always about words. Everything was words with me, including music as well. Right? Even playing piano and stuff or whatever. I'm reading music. Like it's all reading and words and communication. And nothing I ever did was ever anything to do with the visual aspect. Not until I wanted to illustrate my original characters. So the first thing I could think of, because I certainly wasn't thinking about computers or digital art. I did not have a computer growing up. I did not have the internet until 2014. I've never had a laptop that has been able to keep up with what I do until this one. I love you so much, Predator. I didn't even think about using technology at first. Why would I think of that? I don't have a laptop. I don't have anything close to that kind of thing. So of course I'm going to use pencil and paper, right? I cannot draw realism. Let's have a go at cartoons. Not to simplify it, I don't want to call this cartoons, but you'll know what I mean if I say cartoons when I say manga, right? It's line drawing and stuff. Now, obviously, anime and manga is not just a cartoon. It's an absolute total art form of its own, separate from cartoon. But you know what I mean. I don't have to necessarily focus too much on trying to shade and do realism. I can't even draw an apple, you guys. Can't even draw an apple, okay? I can't draw cartoons. I'm actually pretty darn good at drawing cartoons. So that's basically where I started. I thought, okay, let's go in with a pencil and some paper. And me and Abdul really got into it. It was something that we both really enjoyed together, learning how to use the right techniques as well as the right materials. So we got a lot of stationery, a lot of inking pens and sketch pens, as well as so many Letraset Pro markers. Oh my gosh, let me show you how many Letraset Pro markers I got, you guys. So many markers. Oops. So this is what we learned how to use. I learned how to shade, sort of. I'm not very good at it, you guys. I'm not very good at it. So basically, I found a way to sort of at least conceptualize on paper what I was seeing in my head. Certainly as far as Marius was concerned. I kind of ended up at a point where at least I could see them in front of me, right? Which I'm going to show you guys a picture of here. So here you can see quite a few of the original characters that I was creating. A lot of these guys are just referenced and based off of other characters and stuff that I was able to find online, because again, I didn't know how to create it from scratch myself. So I was using a lot of what I was seeing and just reference points and things like that, just to give myself an idea of what I would want the characters to look like. Right in the middle there, you can see Topher being all smirky and coy for some reason. And then just to her right is Marius. Now that is how he originally looked. He was based off of, I believe, Hattori, who is from my favorite anime / manga, Fruits Basket. And then the other most important one over to her left in the light blue, that is Okala, otherwise known as Abdul or Hado, who is my bestest friend in the whole wide world, and I would never dream of writing a story without him. The rest of the characters were initially going to be part of the story. I think the rest of them probably will turn up, but I haven't put them all in the first story yet. So, as you can see here, guys, I really didn't know what I was doing certainly as far as colouring them in. I didn't know how to colour properly, I didn't know how to use the pens properly, I didn't know how to shade or anything like that. I did not know how to get any kind of depth, you know. The most I could do was just sketch down the simple lines and shapes and then colour them in. However, this is one of my bestest favourite ones, and it hangs right above my bedroom door so that every time I look up at it, I remember where I started. I remember where all of this started. So as you can see, you guys, I wasn't necessarily the most professional, nor did I know what I was doing, but at least I had that conceptualization. It was out of my mind and it was down onto paper.